There are many special circumstances and differences between people that we need to take into consideration when working with victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. Because everyone is different, when speaking to callers, we must be understanding of their beliefs and not to push our own beliefs on them. Religion and domestic violence. We can help provide great resources for clients and callers in our area when people are seeking guidance through religion. But at times, faith and religious beliefs can create a sort of roadblock and will delay or prohibit the healing process. Domestic violence not only affects people physically, but psychologically as well. But what a lot of people don't recognize is how domestic violence affects a person spiritually. Victims of domestic violence may be reluctant to leave an abusive relationship for many reasons. Clients may have strong beliefs surrounding divorce, gender roles, and leaving their relationship could have serious spiritual consequences. We need to be mindful of these beliefs. Though there are a lot of religious support systems in our community, not all religious groups will support leaving a spouse or current partner, and could lead to banishment from the church or loss of support from the religious community. In some religious sects, the belief and consequences of divorce can be very clear, but in others, the way a person interprets religious texts can have a detrimental effect on their welfare. How religion impacts sexual assault. Religious views can impact victims of sexual assault in very similar ways as victims of domestic violence. Here are a few things to take into consideration when speaking to a client with strong religious beliefs. Religious beliefs about premarital sex and sexual contact. The victim could experience shame and embarrassment from their church or religious group, even though this was an unwanted and uninvited sexual encounter. Knowing the perpetrator. Because most victims of sexual assault know their perpetrator, victims may face blame and guilt if their perpetrator is within the church. Reaching out for help under these circumstances could be very difficult, and the victim may think that no one will believe their side of the story. Pregnancy. A woman who becomes pregnant due to a sexual assault could experience difficulty with decisions regarding abortion or terminating the pregnancy with the morning after pill. She could have strong conflicting feelings of what she feels is the right thing to do versus the belief of her family and church. Finding and creating cooperative roles. So what can we do as an advocate, and what can the clergy do to help victims of domestic violence? The roles of the advocate will be based more off of listening to what the client needs. So advocates should pay attention to religious questions, comments, or references. The advocate needs to affirm these concerns and identify the importance of these concerns. Many times, all an advocate can do is clarify that it was not their fault, and that no one deserves this violence in their life. It is the role of the clergy to have awareness of the dynamics of domestic violence and sexual assault, and to analyze the situation. Hopefully, they will use their religious expertise and knowledge to show positive values while clarifying that they do not justify or condone domestic violence or sexual assault. And hopefully, they will refer the victim to the other resources for abuse, advocacy, and intervention or treatment. In other words, we hope they refer the victim to the organizations like SMRC. I'm going to go through a few tips that we have for our advocates that work with strong belief victims. Religious concerns may be very important to a survivor who mentions them, and if not addressed, may become a roadblock in the survivor's journey to heal. It is therefore essential to not ignore religious questions, concerns, or comments. Rather, explore that support system with them. Be aware of your own religious background and biases you may have towards people with religious beliefs other than yours. As an advocate, you should be able to provide compassionate care to any survivor regardless of their religious background. Even if the survivor belongs to the same religious background as you do, don't assume that you know what they want to do or what they need as far as spiritual support. Do not impose your religious or spiritual beliefs on a survivor. If the survivor asks for religious or spiritual support and you don't feel comfortable to assist, Please refer the survivor to a pastor, priest, minister, or rabbi who is trained to help. No matter what the religious affiliation of the survivor, it is important to communicate to the survivor that there is no justification for sexual assault or rape or domestic violence, and that it is never their fault. Advocates must understand the issues of shame and embarrassment after a sexual assault may be compounded by a belief that they have engaged in a sexual activity outside of marriage. Survivors may need help clarifying that rape is not about sex, but about power and control. The possibility of pregnancy and decisions about taking the morning after pill or having an abortion may be especially traumatic for people with strong religious beliefs. A sensitive and supportive clergy member could be helpful to both the survivor and the family if dealing with these difficult issues. Familiarize yourself with the resources in your community and make sure that the referrals you make will help and not further hurt or re-victimize the survivor. Take a close look at the resource list we provided for you. This will be your cheat sheet for many things a client may need. As with any other situation, if you're not sure about any particular concept or area, ask a staff member for help. If at any time you feel uncomfortable or that this is crossing a boundary for you to engage in a religious conversation, you are always encouraged to call staff backup and ask for help. We are here for you. Personal faith for a religious person can provide much needed strength and courage when facing a very painful situation and making changes within. Churches, places of worship, etc., can provide a much needed network of community support for survivors, abusers, and for their children. Take a moment to look at the resources we have in our area. This list is also available on the resource list we provided for you. We have selected a few passages that are commonly misinterpreted, and we have supplied alternative interpretations of these passages. Once you have completed this video, please take a moment to look these over, so you have a basic understanding of why victims might stay in an abusive relationship due to religious beliefs. Please refer to more biblical references that could potentially help out a client or caller with these conflicting issues. This is a great statement from the Catholic bishops of the United States and could really help victims of domestic violence in hard times. As bishops, we condemn the use of the Bible to support abusive behavior in any form. A correct reading of Scripture leads people to an understanding of the equal dignity of men and women and to relationship based on mutuality and love.